I now call to order the Monday, November 17th meeting of the Gardner City Council. The clerk will now please call the roll.
Councilor Brooks.
Present.
Councilor Craig Cormier.
Present.
Councilor Delawes.
Present.
Councilor Harder.
Present.
Councilor Heath.
Present.
Councilor Hegland.
Present.
Councilor Kazinskis.
Present.
Councilor Mack.
Present.
Councilor Tassone. Councilor Tebow Munoz.
Present.
And President Tyrus.
Present. Those who wish may now rise for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Almighty God, we thank thee for bringing us together this evening. Inspire us to worthy deeds and sound decisions, and direct us towards the attainment of good city government. We pray thee to bless and protect all the people of our city, and to so guide and inspire us that we may deliberate in unity and harmony. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of open meeting recordings. Any person may make an audio or video recording of any open session of a meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium subject to reasonable requirements of the chair as to the number, placement, and operation of equipment used so as to not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Any person intending to make such a recording shall notify the chair forthwith. All documents, exhibits used, or referenced at the meeting must be submitted in duplicate to the chair as they become part of the meeting minutes. Is anyone recording tonight's meeting? Reading of minutes of prior meetings. We'll begin with the reading and approval of the July 7th, 2025 joint public hearing with the Planning Board meeting minutes, the July 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, and the August 4th, 2025 informal meeting minutes. Councilor Cormier.
Move to waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as printed.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Cormier, second by Councilor Kazinskis to waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as presented. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. There are no public hearings. There are no communications from the mayor. Petitions, applications, communications, etc. Item 11730, plan number 3082599, Pleasant Street, Main Street, West Line Street, National Grid to install a new handhold in the sidewalk on Pleasant Street, install new transformer pad with bollards in the sidewalk behind 8 Main Street, and extend the sidewalk out around the pad to make room for pedestrians. Install duct bank between the handhole and pad about 140 feet and between the pad and existing MH200 on West Line Street. Councilor Cormier.
Yes, move to schedule a public hearing and refer to the Public Service Committee for study and reports.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Cormier, second by Councilor Dernalowitz to refer this item to the Public Service Committee and schedule a public hearing. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 11731, plan number 311-05017, Derby Drive, West Line Street, National Grid to install new handhold in West Line near the back of 8 Main Street with conduit from there to pad 200-1 to refeed 8 Main Street, replacing old conduits to pads 200-1 and 200-2, installing about 204 of conduit from MH200 to new SGMH-1 at rear of 58 Main Street off Derby Drive. Councilor Cormier.
Move to refer to the Public Service Committee for further study and report and to schedule a public hearing.
Motion made by Councilor Cormier, second by Councilor Harder to refer this item to the Public Service Committee and to schedule a public hearing. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All those against? Motion passes. Safety Committee. Item 11729, an application for motor vehicle dealer's license Class 2 for FJ Drive Zone Corp. at 407 Chestnut Street. Councilor Cormier.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Safety Committee had a chance to meet on this application on Friday. We discussed this with the chief, the city clerk, and the building inspector. There were no objections to granting this application, and we unanimously recommend to approve, so I move to approve the application.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Cormier, second by Councilor Harder to approve the application. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Welfare Committee. Item 11688, an ordinance to amend Chapter 675 of the Code of the City of Gardner, thereof entitled Zoning, to allow for the operation and use of cottage kitchens in the residential districts within the City of Gardner. Councilor Mack.
Thank you, Council President. There was a joint public hearing with the Planning Board on November 3rd. I make a motion to send the ordinance to first printing.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mack, second by Councilor Heath to send this item to its first printing. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11704, an ordinance to amend Chapter 675 of the Code of the City of Gardner, thereof entitled Zoning, to promote housing growth and production in the city. Councilor Mack.
Thank you. I make a motion to send the ordinance to first printing.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mack, second by Councilor Thibault Munoz to send this item to its first printing. Is there discussion? Councilor Mack.
Thank you. I just want to get back after the joint public hearing with the Planning Board on November 3rd. The Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend passage of the ordinance. The only recommendation being they supported the change from that occurred in the Welfare Department that an ADU shall not exceed half the gross floor of the area of the principal dwelling or 1,250 square feet, whichever is smaller. This was a change from the original 1,900 square foot maximum. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Any further discussion? Councilor Hagman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think both these packages, and this one in particular, I very much support. When looking through, though, I had one thing I caught, and I'm going to offer a little amendment to it. In Section 3, it ends up being a subsection E, or subsection E, Clause 3, on the ADUs. The current language says ADUs may be rented or occupied by family members, but may not be sold separately from the principal dwelling. So leading to my motion to amend, I worry a little bit that the word may is too ambiguous. A lot of times shall is used in place of that to make it just stronger language. And then looking at the state's original act that this stems from, really they do put a lot of emphasis on us not restricting, but being able to go broader. And so a lot of that language, wouldn't restrict it to just family members, right? Because you may want to rent to a veteran, a friend, or just someone you're looking to make rent from. So I do worry about where we're trying to expand housing and promote housing, having that language be strictly to family members. I don't know how we would either enforce that as well. So with that, I'm moving to amend the ordinance in Section 3, subsection E, Clause 3, by striking may be rented or occupied by family members but may, and replacing therewith shall, to keep that a little stronger and to keep it open-ended.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Hagland, second by Councilor Mack, to amend Section 3, subsection E, Clause 3, by striking may be rented or occupied by family members but may, and replacing it therewith shall. Is there discussion? Councilor Kaczynskis.
I support the counselor's amendment. I think another reason to make it shall is to make it definitive, and he said, he mentioned it being open-ended right now. I think it's really important, especially with this being new, that it is very clear on the intentions, and again, especially in the city, we want to support the options for housing, and I think that will help make it I think it will help go in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kaczynskis. Any further discussion? Councilor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have a problem with the change. My question would be, should we send a notification back to the planning board just advising that we have made this change in case they see a reason that we shouldn't? Their recommendation was to approve it as is with the change from 900 to 1250.
Are you making a motion to amend the secondary amendment?
No, I'm just asking it that, would it make, if we approve this, should we also be just going back to sending the information? Should I make a motion?
You can make a secondary motion if you wish on top of this.
Okay, so that I guess if I could add to that, notify the planning board of the change. That make sense?
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Brooks, second by Counselor Dernalowitz, to make a secondary amendment to the motion to add notifying the planning board of the changes being made here tonight. Is there discussion? Counselor Mack.
I would just like the planning board, if they have any concerns, to respond before this is, at our next meeting to go to second printing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? This vote will be on the secondary amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion, or the secondary amendment passes. Now we'll be discussing and voting on the main amendment. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The amendment passes. Therefore, we'll now be moving on to the main motion as amended to send this item to first printed as amended. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Finance Committee. Item 11718, a communication from the mayor regarding certification of the FY 2026 tax rate, tax recalculation form, and levy limit worksheet. Counselor Mack.
I make a motion to place the communication on file.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Mack, second by Counselor Dernalowitz, to place the communication on file. Is there discussion? Counselor Mack.
Thank you, Council President. This is the annual tax certification which is determined by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. The FY 26 property tax amount will be in the amount of $13.77 per thousand. This is a drop from the $14.36 for FY 25. However, property assessments have increased based on new growth and will be reflective in the property bills. The city assessor submits the necessary documentation to the Department of Revenue. This is known as the tax recap, and this document with the supplemental information sets the annual tax rate. I'd like to thank the city assessor for all of her work in this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Mack. Any further discussion? Motions to place on file. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11719, a measure authorizing the city to enter into a contract for up to 5 years for on-call engineering services for the Gardner Municipal Airport. Counselor Mack.
Thank you, Council President. I make a motion to authorize the order.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Mack, second by Counselor Dernalowitz to authorize the measure. Is there discussion? Counselor Mack.
Thank you. This is for ongoing on-call engineering services for the airport. As the airport requires more specific area of expertise and knowledge to oversee the master plan and execute it. It's important that we have somebody on call as the airport is regulated by FAA requirements, and this again is on an as-needed basis. We're not paying out a specific salary or stipend for services not needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Mack. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11720, a measure authorizing the payment of prior fiscal year salary expenditure, Board of Health and Conservation Commission. Counselor Mack.
Thank you. This is to pay 3 commission and board members, 1 from the Board of Health and 2 from the Conservation Commission. There was an oversight in the process, which has been changed to avoid this from occurring in the future. I make a motion to authorize the measure.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Mack, second by Counselor Dernalowitz to authorize the measure. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11722, a communication from the mayor regarding the certification of the FY 2025 free cash and retained earnings. Counselor Dernalowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This communication outlines certified free cash in the general fund and the retained earnings in each of the 5 enterprise accounts. That's golf, sewer, water, landfill, and solid waste. The mayor has submitted additional appropriations related to the free cash, some of which are on our agenda tonight. And the Finance Committee was unanimous in, and I move to place this communication on file.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Dernalowitz, second by Counselor Mack to place this communication on file. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11-724, an order appropriating $20,196 from free cash to the city's other post-employment benefits, OPEB, stabilization account. Councilor Jernalowitz.
Thank you again, Mr. President. This order and the next order are in alignment with the city's administrative fiscal policies to fund this account at 1% of free cash. As outlined by the mayor, this appropriation is to contribute to the trust fund that will fund retirement liabilities if the city ever ceases to exist. In order to maintain our bond rating, we do need to fund this account annually at a nominal level. The mayor and many members, if not all members of the council, have expressed at some point, their dissatisfaction of having to do this, but in order to keep our bond rating, it is necessary. Finance Committee was in favor, and I move the order.
A motion made by Councilor Jernalowitz, second by Councilor Hagelin to move the order. Is there discussion? This order requires a roll call vote. The clerk will now please call the roll.
Counselor Brooks?
Yes.
Counselor Craig Cormier?
Yes.
Counselor Jernalowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Harder?
Yes.
Counselor Heath?
Yes.
Counselor Hegland?
Yes.
Counselor Kazinskas?
Yes.
Counselor Matt?
Yes.
Counselor Tebow Munoz?
Yes.
And President Tyrus?
Yes.
10 yeas.
10 yeas, the motion passes. Item 11725, an order appropriating $201,951 from free cash to the Department of Public Works Road Resurfacing account. Councilor Jernalowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This order is also in alignment with the minimum 10% outline in the fiscal policies to fund road repaving in the city from the available free cash. The Finance Committee was in favor, and I move the order.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Jernalowitz, second by Councilor Hagelin to move the order. Is there discussion? Clerk will now please call the roll.
Counselor Brooks?
Yes.
Counselor Craig Cormier?
Yes.
Counselor Jernalowitz?
Yes.
Counselor Harder?
Yes.
Counselor Heath?
Yes.
Counselor Hegland?
Yes.
Counselor Kazinskas?
Yes.
Counselor Matt?
Yes.
Counselor Tebow Munoz?
Yes.
And President Tyrus?
Yes.
10 yeas.
10 yeas, the motion passes. Item 11727, an order appropriating $100,000 from free cash to the landfill pump repair account. Councilor Jernalowitz.
Thank you again, Mr. President. The leachate pump has completely failed at the city's landfill, and this appropriation would be for a full repair replacement of the equipment. There is currently a temporary fix going on, and outside services coming in. Those invoices were part of our packet and some of what the Finance Committee asked for additional information. There's also additional information on the bid process in there from the mayor, which was asked for as well. There are still a couple of key pieces of information that are still required on this, the overall cost of the project and outline of that, as well as the total amount of funding and where it's coming from being used. There was a previous transfer or appropriation from the council earlier in the spring, as well as this one, and I just want to be able to tie it all in together. So as long as I would like to actually move to send this item back to Finance Committee for further study and report.
Motion made by Councilor Hagelin, motion made by Councilor Jernalowitz, second by Councilor Hagelin to move this item to the Finance Committee for further study and report. Is there discussion? Councilor Hagelin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to agree with Councilor Jernalowitz. I would made the motion originally to recommend this to the full council with the caveat that all of that information was received. I do want to thank Angela DePrima, who's our acting interim department head for the health department, for getting us as much info as she did, but it did not have all of the pieces we need. And I think where it did come quickly, it is a large document. There's a lot of pages there to sort through. I think a little more time won't hurt either to sort through those. So I appreciate and will be supporting this motion.
Thank you, Councilor Hagelin. Any further discussion? The motion is to refer this item back to Finance Committee for further study and report. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11732, Council Liaison November Waterford Community Center update. Councilor Hagelin.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of you saw or attended, Growing Places had a ribbon cutting ceremony to celebrate their being fully operational. While there's still some potential for them to lease additional space, some minor work to be done, things are running smoothly for them. In further updates, the CAC continues to make progress towards outfitting their space with the hope of still being able to fully open late spring, early summer. Director Julie Meehan has been diligent and a strong communicator with the city and with myself as she follows all the proper steps to get work done. So I want to thank her for all of those efforts and constant communication. Additionally, I do want to give a thank you to State Representative John Zlotnick, who recently secured another $100,000 earmark for the organization and their work in moving to the new community center from the legislature. So this will go towards, again, the next phase and steps of their build-out. So thank you to him as well for that and supporting Gardner and the CAC. I also had a chance to meet with Historical Commission member Alan Agnelli to discuss the potential of adding a couple of rooms in the back area where they're expecting to be located to be used as viewing and research rooms for residents. So essentially they would have the storage space in the current old former locker rooms that they are existing at the time, with the hope of being able to move things out either for display or specific research, so people don't have to be going to the storage area. And to make that more efficient, it seemed like a great idea. The mayor was certainly open to that as well. We've also discussed finding someone with the right expertise to advise the city on what work, such as shelving or climate control, would be needed to properly store our archived items. And there's more information hopefully to be coming on that. But I do want to again thank Mr. Agnelli for his constant communication. It was greatly appreciated. He's been again very thorough and diligent, as I'm sure we all know and expect. The senior center entryway, I'm excited to report, has begun to see some work. A concrete pad and ramp has been worked on as a precursor to the storefront style doors that will eventually be installed. I think some fencing was also put up there as well. The doors will likely at this point arrive in 6 to 8 weeks. It was originally an 8 to 10 week, but in the time it's lapsed since they were ordered, probably 6 to 8 weeks before those doors arrive. Director Josh Cormier was a big part in making sure that contract happened. And again, he's been incredibly diligent about communicating and keeping me up to date on things, especially when it comes to bids and contracts. So I want to give him a little shout out and thank you to him as well for his communication. As for the building in general, progress certainly has been slow. There are several things underway, but they have been for a while. And when you compare what the nonprofits have accomplished with the space they're leasing in the same amount of time, the difference is certainly stark, and I think the pace is holding up moving forward with the use of the building. Obviously, things take time. Parts have lead times. We have more steps that we have to go through as a municipality. But that was the case in many ways for the organizations currently leasing space as well. And I think the difference that I've seen and what I've found in my time as liaison and communication specialist is that they made it really a top priority. For them, this was their sole focus. And in my opinion, we've had a lot of things going on in the city, and I don't feel that the city has necessarily been able to put all the time and resources into this project. And I do think the administration, hopefully in this new term upcoming, will prioritize and drive this project more than they have. And so I want to take a step back and take in what's on the list to get done. 2 bathrooms need to be renovated, and by renovated specifically, there's fixture replacements and ADA improvements happening. The doors to the senior center, as previously mentioned, need to be finished. The HVAC for the senior center needs to be finished. While the mini splits have been installed, the compressor has been installed, there's still some hooking up and connecting to do to make those functioning. There are other investments and improvements that we have approved, and there's a lengthy list of smaller items, from locks to signage and everything in between, that needs to get done. But my point with this is that I think we need to keep the scale of this in perspective and not overcomplicate things. And we also need to stop accepting that speed of government argument. I think there is more that we can be doing as a city to move these things along. And so part of my concern is that when we approved these capital improvements for the community center at the beginning of the year, we also approved other very needed projects at City Hall and elsewhere in the city. By dollar amount, the community center is actually the smaller portion, and as far as I can tell, none or little of that work has begun, which leads me to my next concern, that if we're struggling to get new fixtures put in the bathrooms and doors replaced, understanding lead times and parts, and it's really 3 years since this project has begun, I think we do need to keep a close eye on the rest of the list. I worry about delays, meaning cost increases down the line, and I know the mayor is aware of that as well, and he's certainly paying attention, but understanding that some delays are out of the mayor's administration's control, I do hope to see that a better job will be done with the elements that are completely in their control. So when I took this task on, I believed in the project. I still do. I think this is a great asset for the city, and I'm really excited about the prospect of this. I think it's going to be great for us and our community, and I do think it's a much better way to deal with the old buildings that we have, better than the way we used to, for sure. So I do want to applaud the council and the mayor for changing course on that, because for too many years, right, we left these buildings to fall into disrepair until either, like we recently saw with the pool, it has to come down, and that ultimately ends up being the only option available to us. So I think we also need to understand, though, that while there are challenges, we can't overcome those challenges without leaning into them. So I feel that, I've done a good job of improving communications between the council and mayor, and I want to thank the mayor for that as well, and his role in it. And certainly between the city and tenants, I think we've really improved communications there as well. And of course, there's still room for improvement, and I do not feel that there's much more I can do in my current role. Like with the nonprofits, I think someone at City Hall really needs to be put in a position to drive the project and to be empowered to do so. Someone that is a day-to-day employee with the time and hours, dedicated to this role. So I let the president know, and I let the mayor know that I'm going to step down as council liaison and communication specialist for the project. So this will be my last update. But I have recommended to the council president that further updates on the project be handled through one of our standing subcommittees. I think that'd be the best avenue for this during the appropriate department head updates, and we'll see what goes from there. I think that's at a point really where we're at. And thank you. With that, I move to replace the update on file.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Hagelin, second by Councilor Gardner to place the update on file. Is there discussion? Councilor Kozinskis.
I support Councilor Haglin's suggestion to have updates in the future on this. And if I can, the only question I have through the chair to the councilor is who would be delivering those updates?
Councilor Hagelin.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's a great question. At this time, I do know the building commissioner is still fairly involved with the project, so she, I think at the time, and the mayor would be the best people, but certainly we'll have to see if the mayor ends up appointing anyone. I know there's talks about that, and there's conversations around that, but I don't believe that's been determined yet as to who might be the lead, or what entity might be the lead on the project. So that is a little up in the air, and something we would need to figure out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And either way, I would support those updates, and I thank Councilor Hagelin for the work that he's done and the effort that's been given and the acknowledgement that the council be involved in the communication on the project. Waterford is a wonderful project for this community. It's going to be great when it's done. I really appreciate all that information. It's something that we've needed for a long time, and we need to make sure that we have good information out there. And I've stressed that before when you've given your updates, and I believe the same for today. But I do, like I said, I totally support the suggestion for the future, because I think it's important that we get updates. And I think it's been really made clear through Councilor Hagelin and these updates that this project has to be a priority and needs to get finished, and I appreciate the information you gave supporting that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kozinskis. Further discussion, Councilor Mack.
I just want to echo many of Councilor Kozinskis' comments and thank Councilor Hagelin. I do want to support the idea of getting a facilities manager, if you have a project like a clerk of the works to oversee this. It has gone on much further than we anticipated. There's been a lot of change in move-in dates. There's been a lot of incorrect information floating around over the past few months. And time is money. And we need somebody more hands-on there on a frequent basis to make sure things are being done in a correct fashion, because mistakes are going to not only extend the ability for the senior center, the CAC, and other places to move in, or for us to lease other areas of the building, but it's also at this point, I don't want to see any more cost associated with this project that needs to be, and I don't want to see any mistakes made, i.e. Mackey Park, that we have to go back and fix further down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Any further discussion? Motions to place the item on file. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11733, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Gardner, Chapter 8, Attachment E, thereof entitled Non-Union Compensation Schedule, by removing positions into a new Attachment F and setting the compensation for such positions. Councilor Hagelin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the ordinance to be sent to first printing. Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Hagelin, second by Councilor Gardner to send this item to its first printing. Before there is discussion, I would like to call upon the mayor to get asked to present a short deck for the council on this item. Mr. Mayor.
A lot shorter than the tax hearing. So thank you very much, Mr. President, councilors, for the time too. This is something that's been in the works for quite some time. As I notified the council earlier, that we had created an ad hoc committee to look at the various different compensation proposals for our non-union employees that have been put forward. So the topics that we'll have for tonight's presentation are listed before here, just a review of that committee and their work. The proposal enhancements that are before you right now, talking about how those step systems would be interpreted for our employees, cost analysis of such, and then the initial feedback we've started to receive from our staff on the proposal that is before you this evening. The ad hoc committee has met on 3 different occasions, reviewing various different proposals that came before it, looking mainly at the initial compensation proposal that I submitted to the council as part of the budget process, the proposal that was submitted by the finance committee, as well as looking at various different other step scales that were received from different communities through the Massachusetts Human Resources Association. That's a subset of the Massachusetts Municipal Association that Director Morse is a part of, who put out an all-call asking for different copies of what other communities do. We received several different copies. Those are available on the city's website Agenda Center for the ad hoc committee, where you can review these at any time as well. Attorney Pusateri also followed up with the committee, providing the same communication that was previously submitted via email to all of the city councilors about the potential unionization of some of our department head positions, notifying us that we were not to touch those as a part of this process in order to make sure that we were following all Department of Labor standards. So those are not included in the proposal that you see before you today. That is why only those 5 department heads that are listed in the ordinance are those that were excluded in the filing with the Department of Labor Relations by those looking to potentially unionize. The proposal that you see before you worked through those conversations that were brought up through the Finance Committee's proposal on creating a uniform step system across various different positions that we have here in the city, making it so that within groupings there's consistent percentages between each steps, and making it more defined as to what positions fall into each grouping. For the lower groupings, mainly for our supervisory staff and our hourly staff, creating that 1-year step because their pays are so much lower than our department head steps, to make sure that that's recognized by adding a lower percentage 1-year step. That's why if you look at our supervisory staff, it's 2% between the steps, and our hourly staff, it's a 1.25% between the steps, whereas for the department heads, where it's a longer phrase, it's 3.25%. And then adjusting the years across the steps too, to make sure that we have that system in place there too. Really creating a step system is what that last bullet means. Other pieces of feedback that we received, we're trying to find ways to recognize previous service for the city in determining the step scale. We're going to get to that a little bit more in a couple slides down the line. But in using that in order to create a clear roadmap for longevity growth for our employees who have been with us for quite some time. In the spirit of transparency, there are some things that this proposal did not address. The first being tying the ordinance and pay raises to a performance review system. I've said this from this podium before, but for the point of saying it again here in the context of this discussion, and for those the benefit of the public who may be watching this evening who may not have seen earlier, I personally am not in favor of tying pay raises through this ordinance, particularly because it's set by ordinance, to a performance review, mainly on the grounds that it adds a very high level of subjectivity to what we're budgeting for on the city's end of things. I think that performance reviews are important, and I'm not saying that that's not something we should look at. It is something we are looking at implementing in the administration, but tying it to pay raises that affect the budget in terms of how much we need in a given fiscal year, particularly where this proposal has increases on an employee's anniversary date, not on a fiscal year date, it creates it so that there could be some fluctuation in what we're budgeting for there too. So to make it more of an objective system that's codified in the city code itself, that's why it's a years of service-based system and not a performance-based system. Another thing that wasn't able to be recognized in this round, because I think where we are right now, we needed to start with a starting point and then build off of that at some point. So this is not saying that this isn't something that could be looked at in the future, but make sure we're at least acknowledging that it's not included in this now, is prior service in a different municipality or the private sector. This ordinance proposal itself recognizes service within the city in various departments, whether you were promoted, transferred to a different department, had a lateral move or something like that nature, not if you were to come from another municipality going in. Where that is reflected, however, is that it does still allow flexibility in the first step higher, that the mayor can come to the council and request a step 2 higher instead of a step 1 higher. So there is some ways that that's included there too, but not by adding a year-to-year basis for it. And then another thing that I believe does need to be looked at but is not included in this proposal itself is looking at the city's current longevity payments ordinance that we have right now. Right now, when an employee gets to a certain number of years, they receive an annual stipend of $50 per year of service. That is one of the lowest paid longevity payments that we have across our city contracts that we have. But it's not something that's included in this. Again, I felt like we needed to start somewhere. Once a system is in place, I feel like seeing how it's actually implemented, seeing how it's rolling, there's times that you can look to improve a system that's there, but I think this proposal does put our best step forward in getting us into something that we can be with our employees to where we need to be working toward. So a walkthrough of where employees would fall under the step grid under the language of this ordinance. I borrowed from the Finance Committee proposal through Councilor Heglin to recognize up to 75% of previous years of service in another city position. So for instance, if an employee worked as a assistant director in their department for 10 years and got promoted to a director in that department and had served in that director position for 2 years, the previous years of service from that 10 years as an assistant director would allow them to carry over 7.5 years of service into the step scale system when they got promoted, because that's 75% of that 10 years. But then they have 2 years of service in that department head role, so their years of service counted for the step scale system would be 9.5 years. So they would fall under the appropriate step for 9.5 years of service. This allows us to capture some of that previous years of service that the employee has with the city to promote and incentivize staying with the city long term, so you see that upward growth. It prevents us having any issues of someone getting promoted to a different step and then having to start at step 1 and then maybe looking at trying to fix where someone may have look like they have a reduction in pay, but trying to address that in the long term. So all of those things are things that are addressed by allowing this look back period, if you will. But the other thing I want to say too is it also caps how much we carry over from that look back period at a period of 10 years. What that does is it allows a financial stopgap to make sure we're not increasing too much by implementing this proposal newly now in this fiscal year, and can have that evaluated as we go forward. However, if an employee has been in the same exact position for however many years that they've been here, they carry over a full total years of service for that. If an employee was hired in that position 8 years ago, they'd fall at 8 years of service in the step scale. If that employee was hired in that position 12 years ago, they'd carry over at a 12-year step for that. So your years in position are 100% counted. Your years in previous positions are where that 75% come into play. So that's how we would be looking at setting those steps moving forward. My goal is on the administration side that if and whenever this should make it to second printing from the City Council, the same vote that a vote for second printing would come forward, I would also submit the years of service per the language of this ordinance that says the mayor will submit something to the City Council that if someone starts at a step higher than step 1, or we're recognizing years of service from a previous position within the city, that those years of service be ratified by the City Council. That would be when I would put that forward there too, so that not only would people see where employees fell into the steps, but the full actual, this is where this employee falls within that step scale would be submitted at that time for council ratification too, for that moving forward. That's not something that would have to be done on an annual basis, because once we've voted to recognize their years of service, that would be where that person falls. But if a new hire was made or a new promotion was made, that process would start over again at that point to make sure we're recognizing an employee's previous years of service for the city. So again, while the look back caps at 10 years for previous positions, that look back does not exist if you've maintained your same position with the city over the course of years. You carry your full years of service within that position. That's really the main goal here. That's the TV remote itself, so without turning the TVs off, going to the next slide. For the cost analysis of this, the total cost of implementing this ordinance proposal will be $110,000. That is $30,000 less than my original proposal that I submitted through the budget process, and then a $10,000 less than the Finance Committee's proposal that was done. But again, just noting that those positions are not included in this that were included in the previous proposals. Initial feedback, I have begun meeting one-on-one with the staff that's included in this ordinance to talk about what led to this ordinance being constructed, what information was used to work to set these steps, what criteria would be used in determining that employee steps, and where they would fall on the step grid based off of their individual years of service. So those meetings have, I've met with about 75% of the employees who are included in this ordinance, have largely been positive. We really haven't received negative feedback on this from the employees who I've spoken to. In fact, many are thankful to see that we're recognizing some form of previous service from the city. So that was really the biggest feedback that we've received, is that's been a welcomed sight to be able to see, because it does incentivize them to say and recognizes them for being with the city for some of them decades. So it's really good to see that they were interested in that there too. Going back to something I mentioned in the previous slide about not recognizing years of service from other communities, that's something that when our ad hoc committee voted earlier to recommend this to the city council at our 6 o'clock meeting this evening, the question came up of, can an example of that be given of what that would look like if we did that? What that would look like is, the best example we have right now is in our police union contracts, that if someone worked 8 years as a police officer in the town of Westminster and then came here to the city of Gardner, I'll use 10 years to use an example that is easy to do with the math. If you worked 10 years in Westminster, you came to Gardner. Under this proposal here, you carry over the 7.5 years of service under 75 if you worked for the city of Gardner for 10 years. Under this proposal, we would not be counting your 10 years of service from Westminster when you came here. Under the police department's contract that we currently have, we recognize years of service in another municipality when you come to the city as a police officer, so you would start at a 10-year step as a new police officer if you transferred from the town of Westminster and had 10 years there. That's not included in this proposal. This proposal only counts our internal employees that we have right now in their internal positions that they've had from the previous, not employment in the private sector nor employment in another municipality. Again, we needed to start somewhere, and I think that that's the easiest way to ease into this new system. But I think getting some type of system and starting somewhere is where we need to be at this point. So I do believe that this proposal is in the best interest of the city. I do believe this is where we should be working towards. This has my full support on this proposal, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the councilors may have.
Thank you, Mayor Nicholson. Do any councilors have questions for the mayor while he's up at the podium? Councilor Tebow Munoz.
Thank you, President Tyros. Actually, had a few questions. I'm wondering about the labor standards that you're referring to. Like, what is there? Are there more specifics in terms of why? Choose it. Lost my train of thought.
Why those positions weren't included
Right.
in this. So the opinion that was written by the city solicitors and emailed out by the law department to all of us, that can certainly be resent, made available, is working through an outside labor attorney that we're contracted with, who specializes in this work. Where those department heads have notified the Department of Labor Relations that they are exploring the option of electing whether or not to join a union or not, any action that's taken as a result related to the work of that work, compensation, time off pay, any benefits that could be included in a collective bargaining agreement that's now taken since the city's been made on notice that they are going through that process, could be viewed as an unfair labor practice under the Department of Labor Relations as a way to almost bribe those employees of voting against joining a union or unionizing. So we want to make sure that we're following those proposals. That's not something that came from me, that came from the law department directly, and any questions like that, I'm sure Attorney Pusateri would be happy to answer, but that's the summary of what he included in that legal opinion that has been emailed out, so that's why we went with that opinion.
And I just want to reiterate what I said in the last time we discussed this, that the importance of keeping and keeping good employees and attracting the best candidates. I'm just wondering why, like, is it in relation to this proposal, why it is that 14 department heads have decided to unionize, and what is it that they're looking to gain by doing that? I mean, is there something that's, and we just had another resignation of a department head. What is the relationship between that, if any?
I'm going to interject and caution against diving into that topic. Counselor?
About why people want to unionize? We can just talk about that, or is that not?
We have to discuss matters related to this proposal. Any action that's been taken
Okay.
by individuals outside of this proposal would not be proper for this council to discuss right now. Any further questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor Nicholson.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any further discussion on this item? Councilor Hegland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll start by saying, I appreciate the work done by the mayor, the rest of the ad hoc committee, to get this done before us tonight. As I've said before, this is not a small or easy undertaking. It's a challenge, and there are reasons it's not been done in decades up to this point. What we're doing and what we should focus on is that our compensation system is being modernized, depoliticized, and standardized. We talked a lot about equity in our previous discussions and making sure that there's an equitable, objective system, even as the mayor said tonight. And there's dozens of problems and issues with our current system, and this doesn't solve all of them, but it does give us a system in which we can solve those problems far easier and far quicker than we could in the past. Importantly, it addresses issues we've had with retraction and retention, which is something I think we've all been concerned with, and certainly wanting to reward our employees. It was clear that this group and the mayor were committed to coming up with something, and I think this allows for longtime employees to be rewarded for their continued service, not only in the same job, but for related work as well. It also allows the mayor and the council some degree of flexibility when hiring brand new employees. All of these are good for the city's hiring practices and good for the taxpayer because ultimately high and unnecessary turnover costs money, opportunities, and services. I also want to say that I think this has been a healthy process. We'll hopefully pass the document that is before us tonight, which is the third version filed with the council. Each evolution has made meaningful and important changes, taking into account feedback from councilors, employees, and constituents. And lastly, as the mayor said, I want to reiterate that this is a start. There are several other areas that need attention that we should look into at the near future, like the stipend system, longevity, maybe outside service, clothing allowance, as well as other items that I'm sure we'll come across. I don't think it's likely that we'll ever find a perfect system to start with, but getting a system, and I think this is a strong one, I think is the right move. Which is why in addition to those other items, I think one of the most important changes we're making to this ordinance is the mandatory periodic reviews. There is language in there not that we can't come back to this quicker, not that we can't consider COLAs at any time, but at the very least, every 3 years, there is language that this be reviewed. So that it won't go years and years and years without being updated, modernized, and making sure we're reflecting, the modern society at that time. So this should hopefully promote incremental changes and updates to better keep pace with our needs, and hopefully a future council will not find themselves in the situation we've been in this year. With that, I am going to also offer an amendment, and leading to that motion, it is a friendly amendment that I've worked on with the mayor, just to fix a technical correction. Through conversations with the ad hoc committee, when we made the organizational change to the chart concerning the placement of the assistants in council departments, because we ultimately did move them to a group of their own. So for those of you that may have the chart in front of you, it's group 2B and has the assistant clerk, treasurer, and auditor. Their formulas were unintentionally changed, impacting their salaries, the starting salaries. The amendment corrects that error and keeps their compensation in line with where they were intended to be. This doesn't impact our cost estimates, as those were calculated based on what they were meant to receive. Essentially, when we copy and paste them down, there was an error in the formula copy and pasting down in the spreadsheet, and so the amendment will correct that. With that, I move to amend the ordinance in Exhibit F, therefore entitled Primary Non-Union Employee Compensation Schedule, by striking the lines for Group 2B in their entirety, and in place thereof the following. A chart, again, with their titles, the group, and the appropriate salaries going across the scale. And I'll bring this up to the clerk, and I certainly would understand if a recess was needed to make copies and distribute for everyone's review.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilor Mack seconds Councilor Hegland's amendment that I will now read. Apologize for the reach. Thank you, Councilor. There's been an amendment on the floor that's been seconded in the ordinance in Exhibit F, thereof entitled Primary Non-Union Employee Compensation Schedule, by striking lines for Group 2B in their entirety and in place thereof the following. And there's a chart for the Assistant City Clerk, Assistant City Auditor, Assistant City Treasurer, Collector, And in accordance with Rule 8 of our city council, I will be calling a 10-minute recess for councilors to review this amendment. Thank you. We're now back to order. On the table is an amendment to item 11733. Councilor Hagelin has moved to amend the ordinance in Exhibit F, thereof entitled Primary Non-Union Employee Compensation Schedule by striking the lines for Group 2B in their entirety and replacing it in place with the following chart. Motion was made by Councilor Hagelin, seconded by Councilor Mack. Is there discussion on the amendment? Councilor Kaczynskis.
This is discussion on the amendment.
Discussion on the amendment.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the amendment? If not, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those against, no. The amendment passes. Therefore, we will now move to discussion on the main motion by Councilor Hagelin, second by Councilor Journalowitz, as amended. Is there discussion? Councilor Mack.
Yes. To make things a little bit more confusing, I would like to offer an amendment to one line. Under the seasonal employees, the lifeguards, this is something that has been discussed numerous times in a few years within the welfare committee and with the mayor during budget season. Because of the responsibility and the training that they have to undertake, I would like to make an amendment to change the lifeguard line 3A to less than 1 year to $19, step 1 to $19.29, and step 2 to $19.58. When you look at the other part-time positions here, such as, I'm just gonna take one assistant rec department person for $26, not only the training, but the responsibility of our lifeguards is, to me, is totally different with the enormous, tasks that they have, and also, in order to be competitive with other areas, including the state, which starts at $25 an hour, I'd like to make this amendment. Thank you.
Second.
Amendment proposed by Councilor Mack, second by Councilor Heath. Councilor Mack, do you have a copy of that amendment? The amendment is to strike in its entirety line 3A and replace it with lifeguard 3A, less than 1 year, $19 an hour, step 1, $19.29, step 2, $19.58.
Correct, that's what the percentage is.
Councilor Kaczynskis.
Through the chair to the counselor, this is the line that only says lifeguard. It's not head lifeguard, it's nothing else. It's the last line.
It's just the lifeguard, right,
Okay.
the initial lifeguard.
So it goes from 17 in step 1 to 19.
$19 for less than 1 year.
Okay.
Step 1 would be $19.29, and step 2 would be $19.58, and this is with the same line percentages with the other positions.
Okay.
Councilor Kaczynskis, is that
Thank you.
satisfied? Thank you. Councilor Cormier.
To clarify, this would put the lifeguard position paying more than the head lifeguard position,
Through the chair to Councilor Mack.
Yes, it does, because I failed to do the math for and to include the head lifeguard position, which I would do at, if I could make an amendment, to add to my amendment, I'd start it at $20 for the first year and then add the same percentages for the following two, which if you,
Councilor Journalowitz.
I quickly did the math. I think it's $20.30 and $20.60 for the next two steps.
thank you.
I'll second that.
One moment, please.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier.
Councilor Mack, you are modifying your amendment to include the head lifeguard line, to strike it entirely and replace less than 1 year to $20. Step 1, $20.30 an hour. Step 2, $20.60 an hour.
Correct. Thank you.
Councilor Heath, seconded. Before we have discussion, would the council like a few minutes in recess to review this? Hearing none, I'll entertain discussion. Any discussion on this amendment? Councilor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Above those, there's a certified pool operator lifeguard and a certified pool operator head lifeguard who have higher, in the original proposal, had higher hourly rates. I'm not sure what the difference is. I guess I would just ask that if, I have no problem with the change, I just suggest that somebody needs to look at it when we're done to make sure that we don't need to make adjustments on those two as well.
Counselor Mack?
My understanding is they all have to be certified in order to be lifeguards and keep up their certification as well as their CPR and first aid. So I think you have to be certified to be hired as a lifeguard.
Counselor Cormier?
Looks like you need to be a certified pool operator
Oh.
as well as a lifeguard for these.
Oh, I'm sorry, yep.
Any further discussion? The vote will be on the modified amendment to adjust the lifeguard and head lifeguard less than 1 year, step 1 and step 2 rates to replace in their entirety as previously mentioned. Is there, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those against, no. The amendment passes. Back to the main item by Councilor Haglund, second by Councilor Jernalowitz, to send this item to first printing as amended. Is there discussion? Councilor Kazinskas.
Thank you, President Tyros. I fully support Councilor Hegland's comments, also being a member of the ad hoc committee for the salary ordinance review. We had some productive discussion. Information that we asked for from the mayor was provided 2 weeks before the meeting that we had tonight, and it was very helpful to have that in front of us for a couple of weeks before we were able to meet. Then, of course, we received this proposal when the meeting was posted, and I really appreciate the explanation he gave us during the meeting as well as today for the full council. Just wanted to touch on a couple of items within there. You know, as the city council and mayor up to this point, starting this discussion in May, have made it clear that the salary ordinance needed to be addressed, and we have done that, and we're moving it forward as we said that we would. And a multi-million-dollar adjustment to the city's budget can't and shouldn't be rushed through in just a few meetings, and it wasn't. It was considered over months at a time. There was good discussion and information that was requested and that was fulfilled. This is a major decision. It has long-term implications. I am super encouraged that, you know, it's been 20 years since a real change in the salary ordinance, and we were able to work through the working group that the mayor had described, the mayor, Councilor Hegland, the finance committee, and take time and then have the mayor form the ad hoc committee and, you know, continue with it and keep moving forward without giving up on it. And I think that's a real tribute to this council, to this mayor, and trying to work here to get the employees of the city some fair compensation and to take a large step forward to do that, and I think that we've done that. I am in support, as we said, the ad hoc committee this evening voted to recommend this proposal be passed by the council. And so a couple of things within it. The mayor discussed the performance review piece. I support his reasoning on that. I think we do need to implement a system in the city, and I think it is important for both the employees and the city to have a performance review system. However, I don't think it's necessary to tie it to compensation, and as he had mentioned, the subjectivity of it. Because if an employee has a satisfactory performance review, then that means that they continue in their position and then they work towards another year to their next step, which are very clearly laid out. They know what they're looking for. And from the perspective of being part of the appointments committee, a performance review also helps to justify the mayor's appointments. It helps with the HR's work that they need to do with the performances of each of our employees. And so while we should absolutely implement a system, I do agree with what the mayor had presented in terms of the salary ordinance, and so I just wanted to hit that piece of it because I was glad that he did acknowledge it and explain it. And along the way, we have to remember too, we've had cost of living adjustments all along. There haven't been these steps. There haven't been these things to work towards for raises. And so that is still something that I think is worth mentioning, that COLAs will still be able to be entertained each and every year. We'll know more about affordability in the future if we're able to do that. But before, when a COLA was the only option for getting some sort of raise and there wasn't a system in place. There was a lot of subjectivity involved if there was any type of salary changes, and COLAs could always be entertained, but they weren't always guaranteed, and that was all you knew you may get along the way. And I think that addresses that, and I think it does it in a sustainable and affordable way, but also with the chance of a COLA on top of that. It's something more that our employees can receive. And, you know, having this be a new proposal, we have had the mayor's proposal and the finance committee proposal in front of us for a number of months since May. And although we didn't decide on one of those proposals, this proposal was clearly built from those proposals, and includes a lot from them. So kind of retaining and processing that over the last couple of days was something that was, it was supported by the information that we had previously. And so all of that work was for something. And we did speak, you know, throughout this process about how we wanted to work towards something. And we really haven't missed a beat in that process. And so, you know, I just wanted to emphasize that I'm in support of it. Again, I echo a lot of what Councillor Hegland had said. I appreciate the mayor and the city solicitor and the HR director and all of their time on the committee that we had. But this proposal is organized, it is very clear, it includes all the decisions that it can include at this time. And I really appreciate the presentation of it, because I think it really cleared up a lot of things. It is, to me, it's our best foot forward. It's not set in stone. We will review it every 3 years, as the councillor had reiterated, and we spoke earlier about in our ad hoc meeting this evening. I think that's also really important to note. But we can entertain this at any time, and the bottom line is it really hasn't been in 20 years. And we've done more in the last 6 months than has been done in the last 20 years, and that's exciting for the city, it's exciting for the city council, and it's exciting for the mayor, in my opinion. And to come up with something that is workable, doable, and sustainable is also a step in that right direction, with also keeping the city afloat with the financial piece that we, as city councilors, have to do. So those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Mack.
Yes, I just want to thank the mayor for this proposal. All along when we started this process, I said in multiple meetings that the proposal needed to come from the mayor for the salary steps. I think the council did the right thing by taking our time to review all the options that were before us. I thank the ad hoc committee for all of their work, but we have the responsibility of doing a good faith effort, not only for the employees, but for the citizens of this city and what we could financially afford. And I think that this document will adequately show the good faith efforts that we have, and I applaud the non-union employees covered under this for their patience, and the fact that this can be reviewed at any time, and you know, after 20 years that we're seeing finally steps. I remember my first year on the council, a former councilor, Councilor Walsh, and I were saying we need to see steps, and that this is finally occurring. I think is a huge step forward, and I look forward to continuing to review this in regards to COLA or other things that can be improve the benefits and the salary of our employees within the best interest of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Further discussion. Councilor Journal-Outs.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just kind of want to reiterate thanking everyone who's worked so hard on this, the mayor, his team, councilors here. It's been a long process. I did have a question through the chair to the mayor, if possible, about the intent of one section, just so for clarification. Mr. Mayor is willing to come back up here. And if you have a copy of yours in front of you, or not, the ordinance, but in section 2, the determination of starting step for employees hired on or after December 2nd, 2025. In both, so section 2, both the subsections 1 and 2, item C is the maximum credited time award shall not exceed 10 years. In both those sections, the intent is for each of those to not be awarded more than 10 years, or overall not more than 10 years. You know, do you follow? So one's about current service with the city, and one's about service outside of the city and
Correct,
awarding
yes.
past time.
Yeah.
And is the intent to only award the maximum of 10 overall, or the maximum of 10 for each?
For overall.
Okay, so that being the case, I'd like to make a motion to remove item 1C and 2C and move that to number 3, so it shows it's applicable to both and not each individually more clearly.
Yeah.
If you follow.
Yep.
So just to reiterate that again, starts with section 1 here, then it goes section 2, subsections 1 and 2 both have an item C. The maximum credited time awarded shall not exceed 10 years. I would remove that in both 1C and 2C, make that a number 3, and make it the maximum credited time awarded shall not exceed 10 years, and then accordingly move up D and E in each section to the corresponding letters.
Motion made by Counselor General, second by Counselor Hagelin to remove section 1C and create a section 3 and move item, what were the letters?
Just the item, it's D and E up in that section, in section 1 and subsection 1 and 2. It's in both those subsections. So deleting C in section 2, subsection 1 and subsection 2, the item that line C, and creating that same information, same line as a new subsection 3.
Subsection 3, okay. Creation of subsection 3. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The amendment passes. We will also be requesting those amendments in writing for the clerk to post to its first printing, which is the original motion after our 3 amendments. Any further discussion? Councilor Kazinskas.
I just wanted to emphasize to something Councilor Mack resonated with me, that the employees have been patient over the past 6 months, and if you really want to put together, some of them 6 months and 20 years, but I want to thank them for their patience with this, but also highlight that if this does pass first and second printing and go into effect, it is retroactive, so they will be paid back to that 6 months as well. I just wanted to be sure that was clear. And also in the ad hoc committee, we did discuss the possibilities moving forward, because we did make this recommendation, but we recognize that the council may or may not pass it through first and second printing. And so we had the contingency on that, where if not, then we would reconvene and we would chat again. If not, if so, we will still reconvene. We didn't, we haven't disbanded the committee at all. We will reconvene and we will review this down the road if it does pass, to get together and see where it's at, what's going on, because there is the budget. We're going to actually start talking about 2027 budget pretty soon. We wanted to be sure that we had a plan for that, so that is in place just for information purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kazinskas. Further discussion? Councilor Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we've been working on this salary ordinance for non-union positions for about 6 months, and we need to complete our work. I just want to make sure we're doing it right. I have a couple of housekeeping issues that I want to bring up. First one is, the grid begins with a starting salary column and then proceeds to step 1, step 2, and so on. All other labor contracts and previous city ordinances start with step 1. Would it make sense to number the steps in this ordinance in a similar fashion, beginning with step 1 for less than a year, so that all salary and wage schedules in the city have a similar format? Just putting it out there. I think these housekeeping things I look at as, I don't want to make an amendment here because I think it would get bogged down. I think it's something that I would ask the mayor to look at, or the members of the ad hoc committee just look at and say, does this make sense or not? That's kind of where I am. Second, upon review, the projected FY26 salaries for 4 positions, according to the way I'm calculating it, police chief, deputy police chief, and the 2 library maintenance craftsmen, appear to be less than the FY25 salaries. If that analysis is correct, do we need to adjust the salary table? And if the salary table as presented is correct, how are we planning to handle a projected lower salary? So I'm putting these questions out there. Third, there's several positions in the current salary ordinance that have, all right, some in the current salary ordinance that have steps, yeah, they all do. The salary range, oh, okay, current. The current salary ordinance has some positions that have steps. The salary range in the current ordinance, the one that we have now, is greater than what is being proposed. As an example, administrative assistant. In the new ordinance that's being proposed, the salary range is $18.96 an hour to $20.43 an hour. In the current one, or the old one, it's $18.96 to $24.26. So while the initial pay is the same, the top rate drops from $24.26 an hour to $20.43 an hour. Do we need, my question is, do we need to adjust the proposed salary ordinance? Is there something going on?
Counselor, would you like any of those questions to the mayor through the chair?
I think this is something that's going to require him to look at. And so I will give him something after the meeting to just say, okay, here, can you just look at these?
Okay.
If that's all right.
That, you're certainly welcome to do that.
Okay.
Counselor Kozinskis?
I know this is my third time, but I just want to, I have a question for the counselor.
Yes?
So through the
Through the chair.
chair to the counselor. Do you have suggestions for answers to these questions? Like, is there a direction you want to see this go in, or are these just questions?
They're questions because I'm not sure which way the proposal is being done. What I'm, looking at is that the projected pay is less than what they're currently making. So is there an error in the projection of where they should be going? Or is the error on my part where I'm not seeing something right?
Thank you.
Now, it could be me.
I'm actually going to call on the mayor to come speak on this, because I think your questions have significance if the
Okay.
math is correct. Mayor Nixon, would you mind addressing council's questions?
Counselor, if I forget a part of your question, please let me know and I'll be sure to answer it. In terms of the police chief and deputy chief right now, they both fall higher than what the starting step is on this. The current rate for the police chief in the ordinance for someone with a master's degree is $145,627. Where Chief McAveen, with his years of service in his previous positions as patrol lieutenant and sergeant, and then in his years of service with the city in the chief's position, that'd be $160,133.99 a year, step 5. Similar with the deputy chief, and there, I should say, in every position, and we looked at every position individually, no one is receiving a pay reduction, and everyone is receiving some increase in pay. In terms of the formatting question, I see what you're saying, where we do have a starting salary column, and then step 1 begins basically after your probationary period is done. That's, I mean, for a matter of formatting on our end. It doesn't change the numbers within it, just the way that the steps
No,
themselves
it
are
doesn't,
numbered.
correct, it doesn't change the numbers,
yeah.
it's just making it consistent with all the
Yes.
other salary ordinances or wage schedules.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Do you have further answers to the questions I already stated?
I think the overall answer to it is that in this proposal, no one is receiving any reduction and no one is staying the same. Everyone is receiving some type of increase as a result of these numbers that they have here and their years of service.
Thank you, Mayor Nixon.
Well, the mayor's up there.
Oh, Mayor Nixon.
Just
Councilor Louds.
for clarification on that, I think you may have said this in your presentation, but obviously it was a lot of information. I believe you're meeting with each individual.
Correct.
You're talking over where they're gonna fall,
Yes.
correct? So,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you,
actually,
Mayor Nixon.
you know what, I do have
Counselor,
another question for
Counselor,
him.
do you have another, before you go, does anybody else have questions for the mayor or
Yeah.
discussion on this topic?
I do for him,
One
yes.
moment.
Okay.
Proceedings.
Yeah, I understand.
Anybody? Counselor Brooks, please proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Section 6 makes the payments retroactive to July 1 of '25, except for the pool employees,
Yes.
which I understand. So does that mean we're going to do retroactive pay increases for other seasonal help, public works, recreation, golf course?
If they're included in this ordinance, then yes, but I don't believe there's that big of a bump for those positions.
Seasonal
Those
employees?
positions. Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, the temporary seasonal, if you'll actually notice, those are the ones that don't have steps included in those, but rather a flat rate because they aren't projected for long-term. That's why they're temporary in the title in the ordinance.
Okay, and we had, so, okay, that's fine.
Are you all set, Councilor Brooks?
With him, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further discussion? Councilor Brooks?
Okay, so this is where I guess I'm gonna be out of step with my fellow counselors. I have two problems with what's being proposed. The first is section 7, that requires, where applicable, that an employee be reappointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council before a retroactive step increase is paid. In my opinion, that requirement is very unfair to the employees. The step increase is dependent on the mayor and city council doing its job in a timely manner, which is something out of the employee's control. Why should an employee wait for a step increase because we or the mayor are slow to act? My other concern is with section 2 and section 5 that allows employees to be placed at a higher step based on service with the city or service with another employee. In my opinion, it conflates time in the position with time with the city. Time with the city is already recognized in the longevity payments made annually to qualifying employees. Most of the time being discussed here is experience that helps a person qualify for the position or that gives them an advantage over other applicants. In my opinion, there first needs to be a strong statement saying that steps are based on time in the position and not time with the city. Allowing a new appointee to start on a higher step should be an exception and not the rule. The exception might be for a person who has held a similar position in a smaller community and has received state certification to do the work. It is not for a person looking for an internal promotion. In my experience as city auditor, being the assistant city auditor for 10 years provides only minimal experience in doing the work of the city auditor. It does not warrant a higher starting step. Likewise, most police chiefs and fire chiefs will have 15 to 20 years on the force, but that experience is not the same as actually being the chief. On the other hand, being a town accountant or chief from a neighboring town may provide sufficient experience to warrant a higher starting step. Second, the criteria included in section 2 and section 5 for a higher step is open to interpretation and consequently, in my opinion, inserts too much subjectivity into the process. If we want employees to have confidence in how pay rates are established, it must be clear and objective. In my opinion, this language is not. While I believe the mayor and city council will be fair and equitable in determining steps at higher, I'm going to repeat myself, while I do believe that the mayor and city council will be fair and equitable in determining steps at higher, the perception among employees will become the view that those employees with connections to the mayor and city council will get a better deal. That's just how I feel. So my current position on this ordinance is that I will not be supporting it as it is written. If there are changes to section 7 and sections 2 and 5 that shift language to be time in the position rather than time with the city, then I am certainly willing to reconsider my position on this ordinance. I know we've been working on this issue for well over 6 months and need to successfully complete this project. And I'm trying to help move this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Just to be clear, there were no amendments proposed in what you
No,
mentioned?
sir.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Counselor Mack?
I think it's fruitful, when these things come before us, that when we're examining things that we might want to change or, we have questions about, is to take the opportunity to ask questions for, in this case, the mayor, and get the answers, and to see if we can, come up with amendments, not to delay any processes, but also sometimes to seek further clarification of things that we may misinterpret or misunderstand. I think in this specific case, I think that being a small municipality, we need to compensate our people fairly. We need to ensure that they're going to stay and promote within. I disagree. I think being a firefighter or a police officer is invaluable education to learn how to become an officer. It doesn't mean you have to become the chief, but those are the things that help that knowledge helps people promote through the ranks. So again, as has been previously stated a few times this evening, this is a continual work in process, and that it's something that can be reevaluated in the future. But I strongly support the mayor's amendment, mayor's proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Further discussion? Hearing none, in accordance with Rule 6 of our council rules, I'll be the one to request a roll call vote on this item. The clerk will now please call the roll.
Counselor Brooks?
No?
Counselor Craig Cormier? Yes. Counselor Delawitz?
Yes.
Counselor Harder?
Yes.
Counselor Heath?
Yes.
Counselor Hegland?
Yes.
Counselor Kazinskas?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Tebow Munoz?
No.
And President Tyros?
Yes. 7 yeas, 2 nays. The motion passes to first by vote. Appointments Committee.
What?
Item 11641.
Mr. President?
Point of order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what was the vote again?
7-2.
There's
Oh,
10 of us here.
10 votes.
oh, me. 8.
Oh, sorry, 8, yeah, sorry.
8-2. Thank you. Motion passes to first printing. Thank you, Councilor.
You're welcome, sorry.
Appointments Committee. Item 11641, a measure confirming the mayor's appointment of James Faust to the position of Williams Rockwell Educational Gift Fund trustee for a term expiring August 21, 2028. Councilor Kazinskas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Appointments Committee voted unanimously to recommend this reappointment, and I move to confirm the mayor's appointment.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kazinskas, second by Councilor Hegland to confirm the mayor's appointment. Is there discussion? Councilor Kazinskas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Faust has served as a trustee of the Williams Rockwell Fund since its creation in 2015. He has consistently kept students' needs at the center of every decision, and his thoughtful insights have strengthened the board's work. He also brings a long history of trusted service to the city of Gardner and Haywood Hospital, having practiced family medicine in the community for decades and contributing significantly to our valuable and essential local healthcare system. He has been recognized numerous times throughout his career and retirement for his values of service, stewardship, and community, and his deep local ties and reputation for integrity reflect his proven leadership and dedication. And candidly, I was the one from the council to give this because he delivered me at Haywood Hospital, as he probably did other people in this room. And so I am very glad to be able to support this reappointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kazinskas. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 11645, a measure confirming the appointment of Paul Cormier to the position of planning board member for a term expiring August 21, 2028. Councilor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met with the mayor and the appointee and unanimously voted to recommend. Therefore, I move the appointment to be certified.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Heath, second by Councilor Hegland to confirm the mayor's appointment. Is there discussion? Councilor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Cormier has served on the planning board since 2019, and during that time, he has shown a deep interest in how Gardner grows, both on the technical side of development and in strengthening our community as a whole. He's a longtime Gardner resident, a former firefighter, and someone who has been consistently involved in community work across many capacities. His experience, dedication, and passion for the city are evident, and he brings a thoughtful, balanced perspective to the planning board. I do want to go ahead and note that this is a stipend position, but I also would like to acknowledge and thank him for his continued service and commitment to the city.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion passes. Item 11651, a measure confirming the mayor's appointment of Magnus Paul Kahlberg to the position of Redevelopment Authority member for a term expiring August 21, 2030. Councilor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this item, 11651, is also attached to the next item, 11658, as this is the same person. However, the committee met with the mayor and unanimously voted to recommend. Therefore, I move this appointment to be certified.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Heath, second by Counselor Hagelin to confirm the mayor's appointment. Is there discussion? Counselor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. Magnus Paul Carlberg has served the city for many years across both the Gardner Redevelopment Authority and the Industrial Development Finance Authority as a volunteer. Mr. Carlberg is not only a longtime volunteer, but also the executive director of the Wachusett Business Incubator, which he works daily with entrepreneurs and businesses to help them establish a strong foundation. His background also includes significant experience with the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities, giving him a strong understanding of municipal operations and regulatory processes. He has served on the GRA since 2014 and the IDFA since 1987, demonstrating decades of commitment to the Gardner's economic development. As a longtime Gardner resident, he brings both professional expertise and a personal passion for seeing the city grow and succeed. These two items reflect the reappointment of the same dedicated volunteer, so I just want to recognize his work.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those in favor, all those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11658, a measure confirming the mayor's appointment of Magnus Paul Carlberg to the position of Industrial Development Finance Authority member for a term expiring August 22, 2030. Counselor Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met with the mayor, therefore we voted and unanimously voted to recommend, therefore I move this appointment to be certified.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Heath, second by Counselor Hagelin to confirm the mayor's appointment. Is there discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Item 11659, a measure confirming the mayor's appointment of Timothy Horgan to the position of Industrial Development Finance Authority member for a term expiring August 22, 2030. Councilor Kaczynskis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee voted unanimously to recommend this reappointment, and I move to confirm the mayor's appointment.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kaczynskis, second by Councilor Hagelin to confirm the mayor's appointment. Is there discussion? Councilor Kaczynskis.
Mr. Horgan has 15 years of service on the IDFA, demonstrating his steady commitment to the city's economic growth. He is a local business owner and offers a valuable real-world perspective on how to make and keep the city more business-friendly and supportive of growth. With significant development expected in the near future in Gardner, his experience and insight as an IDFA member will continue to foster the strong and effective relationship between the city and the GRA as community partners. He's also a member of that, and his family business has been Gardner for over 100 years. And with that, I'm glad to support his reappointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those against, no. Motion passes. Unfinished business and matters for reconsideration. There are none. New business. There is no new business. Councilor comments and remarks. Councilor Mack.
Thank you. Prior to the election, I decided to organize a community food drive for the CAC sponsored by the City Council. We may disagree at times, but we all have the common interest to make a positive impact on the community, and are willing to step up as private citizens, not just as elected officials. This past Saturday, we collaborated with the Gardner Senior Center and AARP to jointly hold a community food drive. The collaboration allowed us to join with them on the same day as their annual food drive and to increase the collections to all 4 grocery stores in Gardner, not just one. The response and generosity of the community was more than I ever could have hoped for. The kindness of others never ceases to amaze me. The contributions were incredible. People's selflessness will help hundreds of families not only for the holidays, but for months to come. Thank you to my fellow councilors for their support in volunteering their time, to the Senior Center and the AARP for allowing us to join them in their help, and a special thank you to Senior Center Director Mike Ellis and his wife Lisa for all their help, especially with the food collection and delivery to the CAC. And I'd be remiss not to mention Councilor Heath for his help in coordinating the necessary approval from the stores. And last but not least, to the managers of Aldi's, Price Chopper, and Walmart and Hannaford's for allowing us to collect outside their businesses. These businesses are always willing to help out and give back to the community throughout the year, and their efforts don't go unnoticed. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Councilor Mack. Further comments, Councilor comments? Councilor Heath.
Thank you, President Tyros. I just want to go ahead and echo what my fellow councilors said. It was awesome being out there. The one thing that I did notice being out there, and I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of these people that I've seen that struggle, and I've personally helped. It was awesome seeing them dropping off bags to help out. So it seemed like the people that didn't have a lot was willing to go ahead and help out others that didn't have a lot, which was very heartwarming. So I just want to say thank you to all of us. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor. Further councilor comments? Councilor Kaczynskis.
The Memorial Lights Drive is currently happening until December 15th, so all of the beautiful lights that we get to see downtown, as well as the trees that are lit up. I've always been through the annual drive. It is run by Square 2, and if anyone's interested in donating to the Memorial Lights Drive, then go to gardnersquare2.com through December 15th to be sure that our town is beautiful for, our city is beautiful for the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further councilor comments? Councilor Haglund.
I'll just wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Councilor. I have two comments this evening. First, a sincere thank you to Councilor Haglund for his latest and last update on the Waterford Community Center project. On behalf of the council, we truly appreciate your dedicated work as our liaison for the Community Center project throughout the summer and fall. I agree with your assessment. The contrast in pace between the tenants and the city's progress is indeed stark. Your points on the need for clear prioritization and administrative drive, I hope, are well taken. It was clear to me during and after our presentation to the seniors at the Senior Center that they are eagerly awaiting the move to the much more modern and suited facility. The council recognizes the need to do more, and we will be the voice of our constituents that demand it until this project is seen through. Second, I want to address an issue that we recently encountered that's unfortunate, but presents us an opportunity for investment and improvement. This past week, we found out that the audio of our City Council Standing Committee meetings, important forms of discussion and decision-making were not captured. While the technical cause was identified, this incident to me highlighted something broader. It's an invitation to examine how things have traditionally been done within our city. Sometimes the way things have been done always works. Other times it means that we might be missing opportunities to do something more efficiently or maybe even better. This isn't about placing blame, it's about embracing the concept of continuous improvement. My commitment and the commitment of this council is to ask thoughtful questions, explore existing processes, and to seek out those hidden opportunities for improvement. We recognize that true progress often comes from a willingness to respectfully challenge the familiar. This situation has shown us that there's an opportunity to do things differently, more efficiently, and with a better result for our constituents. That we shouldn't just be looking for the fix when those problems present themselves. We should be analyzing the root cause and, where appropriately, making smart investments that pay off in the long run. We are actively committed to seeking out these opportunities for improvement across all city operations, always with the goal of serving you, the public, more efficiently, more effectively. This is how we build a stronger and more resilient Gardner. And as an example of this way of thinking, Councilor Haglund requested, and I agreed with, that we'll be requesting to use a portion of Councilor Haglund's unused salary for the purchase of dedicated video equipment for the council chamber. That is all I have this evening. Thank you. And with that, I'll be entertaining a motion to adjourn after the closing prayer.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kaczynskis, second by Councilor Heath to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All against, no. Motion stands.
Almighty Father, who seest over all, as we adjourn, we thank thee for the opportunity of joint deliberation and acknowledgments during the course of this meeting. Bless, O Lord, all that we gathered here, and the people whose representatives we are, and do thou attend to our common welfare until we meet. Amen.
We stand adjourned.